The internal oblique abdominal muscle originates at the tubercoxae and transverse process of the lumbar and inserts at the linea alba.
The transverse abdominal muscle originates in the deep thoracolumbar fascia and inserts in the linea alba.
Peritoneum is the membrane that surrounds the abdominal cavity. The medius muscle originates at the wing of the ilium, the tubercoxae, the sacrum, and the sacrosciatic ligament, and inserts at the greater trochanter of the femur. Its primary action is extension of the hip.
The cranial part of the biceps femoris extends the hip and stifle, and the caudal part of the biceps femoris flexes the stifle and extends the hock. The primary action of the semimembranosus is to extend the hip and stifle when weight-bearing, and the flexion of the stifle when the limb is off the ground.
The primary action of the semitendinosus is the extension of the hip, stifle, and hock when weight-bearing, and flexion of the stifle when the limb is off the ground.
The tensor fasciae lata muscle originates at the tubercoxae, inserts at the fascia lata, and its major actions are the flexion of the hip and extension of the stifle.
The gracilis muscle originates at the pelvic symphysis and inserts at the medial aspect of the tibial crest. Its action is the adduction of the limb.
The adductor muscle originates at the ventral pelvis and inserts at the medial femur, and is responsible for adduction of the limb.
This is the vastus lataris, one of the four muscles that make up the quadriceps femoris, which originates at the proximal femur and the body of the ilium, inserts in the patella and extends the stifle and flexes the hip. The other three muscles are the vastus femoris, vastus intermedius, and the rectus femoris.
The pterygoid muscle arises from the ventral parts of the skull and inserts on the mandible. It assists in closing the mandible and plays an important role in side-to-side grinding movements. The hyoglossus arises from the hyoid apparatus and inserts in the base of the tongue and draws the tongue caudad.
A sphincter-like muscle, the orbicularis oris, surrounds the lips. Its contraction purses the lips.
The temporalis muscle arises from the sagittal crest and the expansive temporal fossa on the lateral cranium and inserts on the coronid process of the mandible. It elevates the mandible, bringing the upper and lower teeth together.
So that's the molaris. Orbicularis oculi is a sphincter-like muscle that surrounds the eyelid. The contraction of the muscle produces a forceful closure.
Muscles. And this is your frontalis.
This is the levator labii superioris muscle.
The levator nasolabial muscle is responsible for the phlegm response in horses.
Belly 1 is the levator labii superioris muscle, belly 2 is cananis muscle, and belly 3 is the depressor labii superioris muscle.
Your parotid salivary gland is right here, and this look.
The masseter muscle arises from the maxillary region of the face and the zygomatic arch, and inserts in the caudal mandible, and its primary action is to elevate the mandible and draw it lateral.